right? He bid, related Ross, Tara Frisbee, and Tara Frisbee won unanimously. And so the agreement was, hey, we're going to give you 30 acres for 99 years. You're also going to build us a brand new city hall. You're going to do all this other stuff. The city's going to oversee the call it redevelopment of the Memorial Park area, which, by the way, is a World War II veterans site. And so that's another part. That a piece of this puzzle here that people were upset about, and also the banyan trees.
Oh, you were upset about the banyan trees. Let's be honest here. This one struck a nerve.
I was cool with everything as long as the banyan trees were preserved. That was my thing. But yeah, so this kind of moved along without too much public commentary, and then the public commentary started once it was really kind of stated that this was happening, right?
Something fierce.
Something fierce. And who's the guy? This guy, what's his name? John Perlman organized the Save Boca movement. And this is just a recap for anybody who hasn't heard us talk about this a million times. But he's a resident and an investment manager who launched Save Boca after learning the redevelopment, in theory, would affect Memorial Park, which is a 17-acre site named in honor of the World War II veterans. And so just so you know, it's not just a burial ground, right? Most of it is, if not majority of it, is the city hall and everything else, baseball fields, etc. So it's not like they were removing graves, right?
Well, yeah, right. This isn't like Poltergeist, you know. It's like you moved the headstones, but not the bodies or something. I mean, man, people were just so fired up.
They were so fired up. So Perlman, he stepped in and started. He built this wild video. I don't know if we have it. It would be kind of funny to show you. It's this crazy video that got tons of views on YouTube, like 80,000 or something views. We'll have to check what it's at now, and it's an AI video of just tractors and bulldozers destroying the precious Boca Raton.
You'd think we were cutting down the rainforest or something.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? You and I talked about this before, but we were shooting video at City Hall for a project or whatever, and we bumped into some of the councilmen and the affiliated people, a part of City Hall, and we were talking to them about it. We were like, psyched, whatever. This is going to be exciting, and it felt like when we were talking to them, I don't know if you got the same vibe I got, but it was like he was just like, we'll see. You know what I mean?
In retrospect, I didn't at the time, but it was kind of like, Now,
in retrospect, exactly. You're like, oh, he was like very like not. He wasn't super excited.
He all but said, slow your roll here.
Yeah, there's a long way to go, basically. Yeah. If this is actually going to go through, but for people's benefit, what was let's see here. So they had. Let's talk about what it was. So they won the city bid, Tara and Frisbee, right, in February of 2025. So this is about a year
ago. Yeah.
A year from when they won. 538,000 square feet mixed-use redevelopment on Boca Raton's aging city-owned campus at 201 West Palmetto Park Road. The project called for, originally, 765 apartments, 182-unit condo building, 120,000 square feet of office, a hotel, a grocery store, a redesigned Memorial Park, and then John Perlman and the grassroots Save Boca movement basically slowed this down dramatically.
You know what I wonder, and again, this is just the conspiracy theorist to me, I just immediately suspect, and I could be totally off here, is if Perlman or some of the other louder voices that are speaking out against this kind of had some skin in the game, and they were, had put in a bid, but it didn't work out. And it's like, oh, well, since I didn't get the bid, it's like, wait a minute, you guys can't do this. We shouldn't do this. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he had involvement in this at all, but maybe, hey.
I mean, and not just him, but I mean, just some of the more vocal people, and or maybe they were the ones that got everybody fired up about it.
Or maybe Steve Ross is backing them because he lost the bid.
You know what? you don't make it that far in life without being a competitive jerk. I don't care what you're doing.
Like, nobody's doing this. I can't do this. Yeah. And then he'll pick it up later after Terran Frisbee quit, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah. So Terran Frisbee, as you mentioned earlier, they adjusted the plan when Save Boca stepped in because Save Boca got a bunch of signatures to basically force a vote and not just allow the city council members to make the decision on what to do with this land, right? And so, but in the meantime, the city's been like constructive with them. Maybe the Save Boca disagrees, but they've come back and they've made adjustments to try to appease the Save Boca movement or just the community in general, not specifically Save Boca, and so it was scaled down from the original 2.5 million square feet with 1,129 residential units and a 99-year lease, to what the current plan is 538,000 square feet on 7.8 acres, which is from 38, down from 38 acres.
It's like almost 75%.
Yeah. And they added, they have 765 apartments versus the 1,129 residential units, 120,000 square feet of office, 30,000 square feet of grocery store, and 180 key hotel, and 2,100 parking spaces, which actually, that's quite a bit of parking, which is great. But that's what they scaled down from to try to make this happen. Also note, Terran Frisbee are also working on something to buy 0.8 acres for a 182-unit condo building in the downtown area too. Wow. So they're kind of trying to merge all their projects together here in that space. So, when they did that, I mean, you go from 30 acres to 7.8. Now all of a sudden that remaining 20-something acres is arguably green space and available for park and all that good stuff. And so, they tried to really dial this back, but Save Boca, I still get the letters, right? So they're still not happy. John's not happy. He still disagrees with the whole movement. So the argument here, on some level, there's a whole bunch of arguments and accusations back and forth, right? But the argument is that, let's see, where does it say this? The argument is that, hey, the city can build what they want without bringing in Terran Frisbee. They can do all this stuff. They can make it happen. They don't need to give away property for 99 years or 100 years.
Or at least without a vote.
Without a vote or period. The argument is so like I think the Save Boca crew is just like, and maybe I'm wrong, somebody can correct me, but some of them are just like, hey, we could do this on our own. That's one of the arguments. Like, don't bring Terran Frisbee in. Let's do this together. And I mean, again, I'm not super experienced.
How would that work?
They claim we have the money, right? They claim we have $600 million in reserves, and then you'll hear who is it? Singer, the mayor, right? Scott Singer step in and be like, no. That's not. We don't have that money, and so as we roll into this vote, there's this statement on one side and this counter statement on the other side, both completely disagreeing with each other. And you would think the mayor knows how much money he has available to do this stuff. And I would just argue this. So me and my fiance were kind of going back and forth about this, and I was just like, how building a massive project like this is not for for the people at the city hall to kind of oversee and just like do on their own, right?
Yeah.
You hire professionals like developers who do this and can execute, because this isn't easy.
Right. I mean, the whole public-private partnerships generally seem to work the best. Have we not done stories on project after project that seems to be the winning formula?
Yeah. And by the way, sometimes they don't work. And this is a perfect example of like, hey, this stuff isn't easy. Mandarin Oriental, Exhibit A. Like even the pros are screwing this up, right? Yeah. And so you want to just like leave it to us at the city here to just kind of figure this out. You're going to have to hire a whole team just to manage that. Would be my guess. So me and my fiance were going back and forth about this, and I was just like, I mean, most people I would say don't want the government doing things.
No.
So if the argument here is hey, we can just do it ourselves, and by ourselves you mean give it to the government, who is then going to screw it up possibly.
Right.
And then Singer argues that he's going to have to tax people more in order to do it himself. They're going to have to issue bonds and raise debt and do all this stuff. Do you really want your city to be doing this on their own without, tons of experience behind them? I'm sure they'll hire consultants that they'll pay millions of dollars to that have no skin in the game to go ahead, right? Why don't you give it to a developer and do this private-public partnership? The developer has a lot of skin in the game, and so does the city, but at least it's a mutual risk versus paying a consultant or paying a whole bunch of people and hiring a team.
After all the stuff going on with fraud right now, like
I know, right?
Not just raise every possible red flag.
Like, give the government
it'll
more
only
money.
Happen to them. It won't happen to us.
Yeah, just give the government more money. I'm not necessarily pro that idea either. So I mean, I don't know if there's a right solution here, but that's the scoop here. The projections show that the project will generate $4 billion in revenue from the city rent and tax payment over the life of the 99-year lease. So this is supposed to really, make an impact from a revenue side perspective. If the vote doesn't go through, what happens? It just stays the way it is. Right?
I guess. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like it's completely falling apart. It's not one of those where they don't have a building right now, sort of like what Fort Lauderdale's been going through after their floods. It's one of those like they still have their structures. They're still okay.
Yeah.
It's just, we all got excited for nothing.
Yeah. So it's just
such is life.
Yeah, it's kind of boring if you vote against it, in my opinion. It's like, okay. So that's
I'm kind
where
of interested, though. I mean, at this point, it's like, hey, at least when we put it to a vote, we're going to find out, like, who really does want this. Or, is it just a very vocal minority, or was there enough people to be like, no, we do not want this?
Right? Get educated. We're going to continue to report on this. We're going to get more educated as we get closer to this, and make the right decision, Boca. Make the right decision.
Educate yourself.
Yeah. And again, we've talked about this too. It's like this will improve the real estate values in the surrounding areas without question. I don't think you can argue the other way. I mean, some people might want to.
I mean, the project, again, and we're both admittedly very pro-progress, and development, and just seeing a lot of the renderings and what they had done with that, I'm like, wow, you don't need that much of imagination to look at that and go, I think this is going to look really cool when it's done. But, I guess it will be just kind of something that lives on in our memories. Who knows? But in any case, March 10th, mark it down.
March 10th, it's happening. The fate of Boca Raton is in your hands, people. That's it. All right, let's move on. Project Tango. That sounds top secret.
Sounds like an 80s action flick, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there you go. A 3.69 million square foot AI data center faces backlash in Loxahatchee. Let's talk about more development and more backlash.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I am seeing more and more news articles, not just in Florida. I mean, all along the East Coast. I mean, hell, all along anywhere, it seems like in the U.S. with these AI data centers, because there is such a large demand and the space you need to run these emerging technologies. It's just, I mean, because I was joking about when we were discussing this sort of thing a couple weeks ago, I'm like, what? It's just a big building. It's just bland. It's there. It's not like a huge eyesore. But I guess, they want to build them on farmland as well. I was reading about somewhere. Sure. Yeah. So it's, I'm interested a little more now about just all of this, because this is just kind of a microcosm of what we're going to see playing out across the country with these data centers.
Well, Elon's going to build them in space.
I know, which I think that's right, which I was like, man, well, if you can make up the bandwidth from, surface to space, I know those Starlinks are supposed to be pretty good.
They work.
It's
a
great
really
idea.
Good.
Have you used them?
Oh, yeah, a ton.
Really?
Yeah. They work really, really good.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive how good that is. So maybe we don't need to build this data center in Loxahatchee if Elon would speed up his rocket launches. And I think he's launching. Is he launching like a rocket a day or something ridiculous?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, come on, Elon, we need to double that up or something. South Florida wants less AI data centers, right?
Yeah.
So here's the scoop. We talked about this. A 200-acre AI data center is trying to get built next to an elementary school and 2,500 homes in Loxahatchee. Residents organized, and the county commission hit the pause button, which is interesting. By the way, this data center is right next to Florida Power and Light West County, which is a massive natural gas power plant. It's right next to that, which is also right next to this community that they're referencing, which was a GL home community. We could throw it on the screen where it's at, that address right there, so people could see what we're talking about. This is kind of tucked away. I mean, let's see. It should be, yeah, so there you go. So this is this is another one. This is another one.
Oh, that's not wow.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this. So this isn't the other one. My mistake.
No, I was thinking the exact same thing.
I was thinking about the FPL site. So this is number 2 on the strike list. Then basically in the same area. Yeah. Right. So okay. Yeah. No. The project sits close to Arden Community, Saddleview Elementary School, and thousands of families. After more than 50 residents showed up to a December 2025 commission meeting, raising concerns about noise, water consumption, and environmental harm, all 7 commissioners voted unanimously to postpone the application until April 23rd, 2026. That's interesting. That makes sense. These commissioners are trying to keep their jobs. So, right.
I wonder how much influence the builders have on this, because if you put a data center there, can't build a neighborhood instead somewhere down the line. So I almost wonder if they're kind of behind the scenes saying, no, you go up there. You say you don't want this here. All right, fine, I will.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I think in certain areas that's a thing, and then other areas not so much, right? So this is interesting. The project was originally approved in 2016 as a standard data center. Developers returned requesting an additional 64 acres, which triggered a new vote and public scrutiny over the shift to AI scale operations. Yep. It was placed on the consent agenda reserved for routine approvals. That decision drew criticism from Commissioner Maria Sachs and outraged residents who felt it was being fast-tracked without proper review. Residents cited nonstop, low-frequency hums from cooling towers and servers, heavy water consumption for cooling systems, diesel generator pollution, and potential health risks to children at nearby elementary school.
Now, you have a lot of insight with this, being a former engineer. And it was interesting because I didn't know a lot about this, but I hear people complain about it all the time, the water consumption with that. Now, I was under the impression that that's like reclaimed water. It's not drinkable. It's not usable. I mean, and I know how water coolers work on, graphics processors.
Yeah.
When I see people complaining about that, it's like, well, it wasn't going to be used for anything anyway.
Yeah, that's our thing here. So, Ben, if you pull up the one I'm highlighting here, topic 2, Project Tango, this right here, pull up that article real quick, up top. Yeah, so this is a good description of where it's at. So you can't really see that link that they shared. Should we blame Ben or should we blame Fernanda for this? We'll blame Fernanda. So this is the location. It's right next to the FPL site, right?
Right.
It's right next to Arden, right by the elementary schools, etc. But so they have access to what they call reclaimed water, which is basically like all the water that they can't pump. They can't pump into the ground, right? They can't. It's used water. It's water from toilets.
Yeah. Sewers, whatever.
And so I don't know if they're going to be able to actually use that water for the system, but what they might decide to do is use it. They'll use it in the cooling towers for sure.
Okay.
And then they'll use a closed loop of pure water on the other side. So to your point, if there's excess reclaimed water, I'm not so worried about the water issue. Depending on how they design it, I'm sure they have some plans here, and that's right in the pipeline of that reclaim water supply, which is pretty cool because it's already going to FPL. I know this way too well because I used to help them. I helped them design it. So anyway, that's the scoop on that. But I can understand that they have concerns about the hum and stuff like that. But we talked about this. They're right next to Florida Power and Light power plant. Like, do you think that the power plant's any quieter? There's high voltage lines all over the place there. You're worried about low low frequency, whatever it's
There's
radiation.
no
or whatever.
way. I mean, it's like I've gone by data centers in the past, and maybe these AI ones are totally different. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I just think being next to a power plant, you kind of these excuses you're making don't really apply. I get it if it's in like a residential neighborhood and they're just popping this thing in. It's like, hey, this wasn't here before. We were not near a power plant. We were not near any of this stuff. Now you're putting me next to something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I take issue. But like, it's 200 feet from the power plant, and they're putting it in between the power plant and the residential area. It's like, well, this is kind of already an industrial area. I'm not sure why. What you guys were expecting to eventually happen there,
Yeah.
So, and again, it's like the perfect spot. You got the power gen right next door. You're gonna plug into them, super easy, right? Yeah. And you're gonna plug into the water, and you're in business there. So. Let's see. A petition on change.org has gathered 4,000 signatures. Residents also launched 2 opposition websites.
Well, I'm
Notto Project Tango. That's a good one. StopProjectTango.org, NottoProjectTango.com. So check those sites out, guys. If you hate data centers and AI and
not to Project Tango
and the robot. The robot's taking over one day, so slow it down.
Okay, yeah. What as I'm looking at who's behind Project Tango, and the article says what the actual end user is likely a major tech company such as Amazon, Microsoft, or Google. I was thinking Oracle just because of all the purchasing Larry Ellison's been doing lately. I mean, it could totally be coincidence that a co-founder of one of the largest technological companies on the planet just happens to be right there. It just seems very convenient.
Yeah. I mean, frankly, any of these guys could use this or be building these, right?
Right.
So TPA Group has a track record with these projects. Their Project Marvel in Alabama, a $14.5 billion hyperscale data center, was approved in late 2025 despite strong local opposition, then relocated to a nearby site in January 2026 after community pressure and infrastructure issues. Well, there you go. A town hall meeting is scheduled for February 25, which is coming up at the Village of Royal Palm Beach Grand Ballroom. So they got a big spot for it because there's going to be people there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hosted by Palm Beach County Mayor Sarah Baxter, starting at 6 p.m. Governor DeSantis has announced plans for a Florida AI Bill of Rights and a companion bill on data centers aimed at regulating siting, protecting privacy, and limiting utility cost impact on surrounding communities. So that's interesting, but that's not impacting whether they build here or not, right?
Right.
Yeah. So homeowners in Arden and surrounding Loxahatchee communities face uncertainty. If approved, noise, traffic, and infrastructure strain could affect quality of life. Yeah.
Infrastructure strain. Why? I mean, it's not like there's going to be so many people coming and going every day for the data center.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
It's pretty much automated.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not.
I mean, you have operators and overseas, but it's not. It's a very. I know for a fact it's a very limited number.
Yeah.
Just traffic. Yep. Traffic.
Well, let's talk about the stats there. So proposed campus, 3.69 million square feet across 200 plus acres of unincorporated Palm Beach County, right? That's a lot of space. right next to Arden.
Yeah.
They're gonna be cooking and humming over there. Everybody's gonna be glowing in the dark. Sorry, guys. This is something to think about, though, when you're buying in Arden. What's to come? If you have an issue with this or take issue with this, if this is approved, or by the way, one day this probably gets approved or something else goes there.
Yeah.
It might not happen today, but you could fight it off, and maybe for residents who own there and want to exit because of this concern. They can fight it off and exit without issue and taking a hit, but on their property values, I mean, there's probably concerns about this. But when they bought there, they knew there was an FPL power plant next door.
Right, which is again at the end of the day, I feel like every argument kind of circles back to that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the scoop. And these guys are real guys who are building this thing. So we'll see where they where this ends up. I could see this going either direction, but I can see a strong argument for, hey, this is kind of a no-brainer. The infrastructure is there, and this is zoned in a way that maybe it's not perfectly set up for data centers, but it was an industrial space, and there was a lot of stuff going on over there before that. I mean, they used to have concrete trucks in there and all these other crazy things. I might argue it might be quieter. I don't know. You know, when I was back over there 10 plus years ago, it was there was a lot of stuff over there.
Really?
Yeah, they were using it as like heavy equipment, moving area, staging area, storage, all that stuff. So you know, there's we'll see where this goes.
And again, especially as we continue to build in West Palm Beach, what Stephen Ross calls Wall Street of the South, I think that would be a great pipeline for, you know, AI resources and everything else going into this new satellite campus for Vanderbilt and all the other companies that are moving there. I mean, it is going to be incredibly beneficial for them if it goes through, I would think.
Get ready, data centers are coming.
Yeah.
They need so many of them. This is going to be a thing in every location that could possibly make sense for it. Developers are going to be trying to make it happen because there's money there and there's a huge demand for it, and it's only expected to grow. So that's the truth. That's the facts. Other places in South Florida will have data centers.
All right.
Right.
But until then, we will go from a fight over an AI data center in Loxahatchee to a quieter acquisition happening on the waterfront in West Palm Beach. We mentioned this story a few episodes back, and come to find out, Larry, it is still developing. You may remember that billionaire Stephen Ross was expected to complete this condo buyout. It was at 3915 South Flagler Drive. It was the Southbridge Condo. Related, Ross now owns 45 of 63 units in this waterfront condo, which is pretty close to Mar-a-Lago. The full buyout is expected within months, and in its place, they're going to likely put up something like, you know, a luxury tower. Larry, what have you thought on this? Because I was reading the Real Deal article the other day about it. I mean, I feel like we kind of buried the lead on it a little bit because you had a guy named Joey Colombo, who I guess kind of took a chance and quietly had bought a bunch of the units there. I mean, knowing or not knowing that somebody like Stephen Ross was ultimately going to come in and have to buy that from him to ultimately get all the land. So, I mean, he's kind of quietly turning a pretty nice profit with this, right?
Yeah,
is that what's happening?
I mean, you have to believe that he had this as one of the possible exit options, and I think, you know, timing is everything for this stuff. So, like, he would have likely continued just to buy more as they showed up, if a deal wasn't struck with one of these big developers like Ross, right? So I think that's the move. You kind of pick the building. And you know, it's easier to do this when you started in 2010 or 2020 or whatever, when he was buying, you know, I think he what is it? He said he bought some of these in 21.
Yeah.
So
I was using different LLCs and separate real estate agents for each purchase, so the sellers wouldn't recognize what he was doing. I'm like, hey, man,
that's slick on the real estate agents.
Yeah.
Because at some point they catch on. This is a thing. The whole thing is you don't want them to catch on, right? But also, you have to remember, you got to get pre-approved by the board usually. And so I don't know how he was pulling off not pre-approved. You got to get approved to buy a condo unit, right?
Yeah.
You got to go through the HOA application process, and there needs to be a name on it, right?
Right.
And so I don't know if he was using different people, managing members, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see how
having his cousins and other people like, oh yeah, hey, you got a condo for a little while, okay? Just roll with it.
Yeah, because you know the board members are going to, especially board members in condos, right?
Right.
You know, they're all over this stuff, and they're looking at different things and considering this. And it's also important to note that, like, it's harder to get financing in these buildings once you hit a certain threshold of ownership. So others who might buy in might not be able to finance a building if it's like 50% or more control 40% or more, whatever the number is, controlled by a specific or one single investor, right? That's a thing. So he was pretty tricky. I like the switch in real estate agents thing, because like when said person shows up in our neck of the woods, like I know who to reach out to for specific things, because that if I have a piece of land that's unique, I know who the buyer might be and I know who they work with exclusively, and so I'll reach out to that agent and just be like, hey, this is you. This is your guy, right? Yep. And it's like, okay, we'll work a deal. So whether it's on market or off market. So anyway, commentary there is just that's kind of interesting. But that's what these guys are trying to do. They're trying to not get found out until the last minute, right? Until they've bought them all, right? But they're never going to get them all. So like obviously this is huge news. Ross now owns 45 of the 63. He bought the 27 from Joey Colombo. That's a great name.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good name.
It's great. Yeah. And so Colombo was just renting these things out, which is the move, right? And what did he do? He sold them for $25.4 million. That represents a 350% return on his original investment.
In a very short amount of time.
Not a bad play, man. Not a bad play. So he rode that wave nicely, and again, he had a big position, and that's what allowed a bigger group like Ross to do this, because Ross isn't running around trying to acquire one at a time. He's going to go look for the guy that's already acquired a good portion, and then if there's an opportunity, they'll finish it off like he's going to, right? Mm-hmm. So, but he's not going to. He's unlikely. These bigger guys are unlikely to go out and aggregate the onesie twosies. They're going to go pick up the bigger things, and they're going to pay a premium for it, like he did. That's bananas. Colombo says the current market has changed. Sellers have gotten way too smart. I offered them 10% premium on their units back in the day, and they jumped on it. That's not happening anymore. Sellers want 2 or 3 times market value. Yeah. After earlier acquisitions in the building, Related Ross now controls 45 of the 63 condos. Colombo says he has attended association meetings, and it's clear the remaining units are under contract, with the full buyout expected in the coming months. So this is getting done. So Ross struck a deal with them. It's interesting. It's interesting how that all works, right? Like you're an individual owner, and these guys come to you and they're like, John, I'll give you 3x the amount, and you're like, no, I want 4, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on some level, they have to know these sellers. Hey, listen, most of your neighbors have already sold to me, and I'm going to control this thing, and your life is going to get more painful if you don't take our generous offer. You make them an offer they can't refuse, right? Colombo wasn't willing to.
Say, right?
Colombo, he didn't follow his roots.
Yeah. Say, no, he didn't have a Luca Brasi to go in there and handle things.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So again, this project this building's going to be knocked down and developed into something pretty epic. Yeah.
Right. And right by Mar-a-Lago. It's like what? It's like right across the water.
Right across the water. Yeah. That surrounding area in that South Palm Market, which is where it's at, just by the bridge.
Yeah.
Right, is it's hot. I mean, it's interesting how much money people get for single family homes and stuff in that area that are not super exciting. And this is what we've talked about in the past. Like that South Palm Market is it's hot, and I think if you just go over the canal into Lake Worth, the northeast Lake Worth area, I think people are catching on and prices are adjusting, but like that area has a little bit more value. So if you're trying to be in that neck of the woods, maybe that northeast Lake Worth market is a place you can expect a little bit more for your money, and maybe a little bit more upside. At least you can buy in cheaper for now. Which I think it's coming down, So anyway, that's the scoop.
All right. So as we what do we have on tap next here?
Yeah, let's talk about what I've alluded to before, which is Penn-Florida's Mandarin Oriental condo takes shape in Boca Raton after years of financial trouble. So this is an update on what's going on, or what's cooking with the Mandarin Oriental, which we all can't wait to be done.
It's still not done.
It's still not
As
done.
I say, I feel like anytime we ever talk about it, that is all I can say because I'm just
Still not done.
stunned.
So again, for people who are new to this or haven't heard us rant about this probably more than 10 times at this point over the years, the Mandarin Oriental condo in Boca Raton was supposed to be finished in 2017. 2017, okay, guys? 2017.
No.
That's what it says. That's what it says. Nearly a decade later, it's finally wrapping up. But it's not finally wrapping up. But only after foreclosures, a bankruptcy filing, buyer lawsuits, which is a big deal right now because buyers put millions of dollars on deposit for these units, and then Mandarin was just like, we're just not going to deliver the product for God knows how long, 9 years.
A lot of these people are in retirement. You don't know how much time you got left. I mean, 10 years.
Yeah, it's in 10 years, man. Some people died while waiting for this thing to be built. This is what's happened. This is literally what's happened. And then finally, the kicker, throw in a big name. Grant Cardone partners with them on part of the project to basically bail them out of a tough situation because they had two adjacent projects or deals going on. You had the Mandarin Oriental, and then you had the luxury rental next door. And so Cardone partnered with them to take over the luxury rental next door. And now we're here today. Mark Genschmeyer's, if that's how you say it. Probably not. Penn-Florida has been building the Mandarin Oriental brand hotel and condo at Via Meisner in downtown Boca Raton for nearly a decade, as we alluded to. The 88 units, condo at 105 East Camino Real is expected to finish in the summer, which none of us are buying, but that's what they're saying. This is a 164 key hotel that filed bankruptcy in December. So there was a 164 key hotel next door that filed bankruptcy, right? This is all part of the Penn-Florida nonsense. And along the way, the firm faced foreclosure suits on multiple properties, lawsuits, condo buyers demanding deposits back, as we just referenced, and they had to restructure debt across nearly every piece of its Boca Raton portfolio. They have stuff all over in Boca, and we've been waiting for other big projects that they had proposed in the area, and they should have been done with those projects, but they get stuck with this thing and doing the screwing this up really bad, which makes us all not want them to even try to do anything else and just sell the other stuff to guys who can actually execute. That's me talking smack right there.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that I'd imagine could put a whole company under.
Yeah.
When every single project you have on tap has to take a back seat to something that you have spent almost a decade doing.
Yeah. But this company's huge.
I know, but it just, God, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
it sucks. It sucks.
Again, it's just like there had to have been, I have to imagine at some point early in this process, in the first 3 or 4 years of this decade, that there was somebody else you could have brought in to just kind of get it across the finish line, but you didn't want to. You know what I mean? There was probably something like that going on with this as well. What the hell?
Do better, Penn-Florida. Do better. Just be better.
I wish I had somebody here who would just be like, just kind of spill the tea. Just lay it all out. Like, what actually happened here, know?
Yeah. Just tell
in layman's terms, just all right, just what like who screwed up here?
Yeah.
How?
It's already ugly enough. I mean, we've been, there's not this can't get worse, I don't think.
Other than it not getting done ever.
Yeah. So the company blamed post-pandemic headwinds, bad timing on loan maturities, elevated interest rates, and rising construction costs and insurance costs. It said the debts carried low leverage, 25 to 50% loan to value, and were in good standings when they matured. 3 matured loans were purchased by the Penn-Florida called opportunistic debt buyers who immediately pursued foreclosure. The firm says it paid off each debt in full through restructuring, refinancing, or property sales. And they clearly had financial cash issues. I mean, there's otherwise they would have kept the contractors paid and moving along and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like for a company that big to have that much trouble just making ends meet in a manner of speaking for this it's just like, I'd imagine it's just not a good sign.
Yeah. So they had 2 office buildings at 101 and 1 North Federal Highway hit with foreclosure suits as well, resolved after local investor James Batmazian, our buddy Jim, jumped in and took over ownership. Jim, oh wow, that's a new development. I didn't know that. A vacant assisted living site at 375 East Royal Palm Road sold for $27 million to settle a $5.7 million foreclosure, and a 366 unit apartment building at 101 Via Meisner. This is the one we were referencing earlier.
Cardone
saved from foreclosure auction through a $235 million partnership with Grant, Uncle Grant,
right,
as they say. So the hotel at 103 East Camino Real, a 12-story, 164-key property with a $140 million loan from TIG Rumson, a Cayman Island partnership, filed Chapter 11 as well in December. The building is topped off and structurally complete. A restructuring agreement calls for refinance or sale. So they're doing a lot of stuff here. They got a lot of financial engineering to do. They've worked through a lot of this stuff. They expect to be finishing this in the summer. I would tell you I would make a bet that this thing's actually done in 27 versus 26. But again, I am seeing progress. So
yeah.
I will give them that. I because we drive by it every day. It's right up the street here, and we are seeing progress. The exterior of the building's stuccoed for the most part. There's they got a lot. I mean, let's put it this way. They still got to do the inside of the building. That's like a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's almost March. So March, April, May, June, July. You think you're going to pull this off by July or August? I don't know, man. I would bet no way. But let's we're rooting for you.
Yeah. Again, it's like I don't want you to fail. It's just again coming from somebody in the outside who's trying to understand how this can happen. I don't understand.
Because these guys are supposed to be the biggest and baddest and best developers and ever, right? They're supposed
Are they? I mean, I don't know.
I'm just saying these guys are real guys. It's a real group. So it's you expect them to execute. This is their pitch to the investors that invest their equity with them. We're really good at this. Right? We're really good at this.
Usually
we make you money.
Right.
Not the opposite, and the opposite happened. So again, once this finishes, this project will be exciting. It'll be interesting. It's new, fancy, high-end, upscale residential real estate in the area combined with a really nice hotel. I'm excited to see it. Go check it out when it's done, because all we've done is kind of seen video of what some of our customers have put deposits in on. So but a lot of people don't want to touch this thing now. So.
Oh, I mean, once it's done, it's like once it's done, and I'm sure everything is up to their very high standard, then I would think.
Well, so here's the comments I've heard from prospective buyers and just humans running around that are interested in real estate in the area. It's like, well, that building sat with no protection, if you will. The concrete continued to get wet. It didn't get stuccoed. There was no yada, 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 yada. People making all these arguments. Whether these things are actually going to affect the
structural integrity pretty early on
will be, I mean, we can ask experts. I'm sure the building won't be put into use without the city and everyone in agreement. And my guess is that this isn't a real problem, but I can tell you buyers have made comments about this. And so there's this bit of a black cloud over that. So when you think about resale value, are people going to think that way or not? Or are people just going to forget that this was ever an issue and the building will be done and that's that? Something to keep in mind. I can tell you that when other unit owners or in the area that are competing or listed for sale and competing with that project in the future, right? Where it's like, okay, I have a Mandarin Oriental unit I can buy, or I can buy something else locally that's similar or close to. I can bet that that listing agent on that one deal is going to be like, you want to go buy over there? You sure? You remember what happened?
Well, that's what I was saying. Now, the only thing I was going to ask you, is there any kind of legal obligation to disclose how long a project like that took and everything? Because that's a very good point.
Yeah.
With the potential, pre-aging, if you will, of the materials.
Exactly. And I would say there isn't really a requirement to disclose that. I mean, if this building's put into, occupancy and use and permitted and approved by the city and all that, all the structural engineers, then giddy up, right? It's safe, but and it will be, right? But I can tell you there's going to be commentary about that more and more. Anyway, let's move on to topic number 5.
From a project that took a decade to build to a purchase that happened off market with almost no warning. This one involves a name you probably know if you've been around for the last 20, 25 years and have used social media really ever. Mark Zuckerberg may be moving to Indian Creek. Let's take a look at Indian Creek Island at 2 Indian Creek Island Road in Miami. Mark Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan are rumored to be circling Indian Creek Island in a potential deal that could approach $200 million. But the real story may involve more than one address inside Miami's most exclusive enclave.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is an area that we've talked about in the past because there's other big names that are over there. Obviously, if we're talking $200 million, you're talking
multiple properties.
The wealthiest, right? So, yeah. So it's
wow. It's like right on the corner too, huh?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. That's pretty cool.
I thought he had like built a fortress in Hawaii or something, which I guess probably has both.
Yeah. I think he's not the guy that owns all the land in Miami, in Hawaii, right? There's another guy that's like bought an island.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he owns the island. I just know he was building like some mega like James Bond villain compound there or something that had the huge underground bunker that, if the apocalypse happens, he could live, like 3 generations or something. I don't know, but it was.
He's got to get there. Like it's like, oh shoot, I'm on the other side of the planet right now. I got to get there. He's not gonna make it.
Yeah,
he's not gonna make it. I guess maybe he'll get the heads up.
Right, or maybe
I don't know if Trump will call him, but somebody will call him. Hey, this is going down. So rumors that the Meta founder and his wife are reportedly buying an off-market estate from guess who? Jersey Mike's founder Pete Cancro at 2 Indian Creek. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll see if this gets done. Cancro purchased the vacant lot for $37 million in 2021 and developed the property. The estate covers 2 acres with 200 feet of Biscayne Bay frontage. Zuckerberg hasn't commented publicly, but if the deal closes near the top end, it would be one of the largest residential transactions in South Florida history. All right, Zuck.
That's
big deal.
That's saying something.
And that's saying something because the Bezos is running around over there doing the same thing, right?
Right, or all the land Ken Griffin has compiled over the past couple of years and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so this is, so we've helped a wealthy individual complete a rental over there in that general area, and when you're on that island looking at Biscayne, it's epic. The water's vast, it's huge, it's really cool. It's a very, very cool experience. It's surreal. So, yeah.
One of the things I find interesting when I look at some of the images of Indian Creek in light of news stories like that is not just the huge properties there, but you have a lot of condos and stuff too. If I didn't know anything else about it and you're telling me this is the most exclusive neighborhood in South Florida and so on, I just would picture nothing but huge individual single family homes, taking up all of it. But that's not the case.
So Ben, pull up that map again real quick. So Fisher Island is one of the most wealthiest zip codes, and that's got a range of homes and
is Indian Creek? Well,
Indian Creek. If you zoom in, you could see all single family.
Oh, it is. Okay, maybe I was confused with Fisher Island. My bad.
Fisher Island, by the way, which is a ridiculous place too.
Yeah.
These are all single family homes.
Oh, got it.
And so here's the list. Bezos is on the island. Carl Icahn, big time investor. Tom Brady, Ivanka Trump, and Jared Kushner on the island.
I love that Brady has a place there.
Brady, I think Brady recently bought.
No, he did. No, he bought it pretty recently.
Yeah. What is this? Iglesias.
Enrique, him and
Julio.
Oh, the old man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of people here, and now Zuck's going to be there. This is Billionaire Bunker. That's what this is. 300-acre island, roughly 41 waterfront homes. They have their own private police force, as expected. So this is the spot. This is the spot if you have crazy, crazy, crazy money. This is at least Fisher Island. You can pay your $400,000 membership fee and then get a condo for $5 million, $10 million,
okay.
$20 million bucks. But over here you really gotta spend real money. I don't think buying for $37 million is a thing over there anymore, especially as these names keep getting added to the list, right? It's just like, I mean, that's incredible. Imagine if you've owned something there pre like, I don't know, 1990. I bet you there's some people in there that have owned something forever.
I'd be interested to know. I was like, I bet Julio's probably lived in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Because I know he's a successful musician, but I mean there are levels here. I mean, it's like some of the other names you're throwing out. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know you did that well.
Yeah, and Julio's over there like getting his. He probably bought for whatever. I'm making stuff up. Bought for $10 million bucks, and his value's probably increased to $100 million bucks, and he's still getting the paying the same tax basis as a $10 million purchase because he's maybe homesteaded it forever.
And what fascinates me with so much of it is like I'd imagine it was always a nice area, right? It wasn't like it's suddenly one day it's like, oh man, did you see this view? It's crazy, but it's like no, it was always really nice. Why did it suddenly become that much more enticing to everybody?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, let's talk about it. So Zuck, I don't know if he lives in California now, but the state of California is currently voting on a proposal to implement a one-time 5% tax on residents with net worth exceeding $1 billion.
They're getting out of there like they stole something,
why
man.
Why would he stay? Well, like, what do you guys think? They're not even going to take the risk. According to Forbes, California has 246 billionaire residents who would face tax bills ranging from $50 million to $13 billion each if the proposal passes. Yeah. For Zuckerberg, that tax would cost an estimated $12 billion based on his current net worth of approximately $239 billion. Dude, this is insane. That's insane. Like that whole concept of just tax these guys, it just doesn't work for me.
It's like, again, which at the end of the day proves once again, whether you're red or blue, green is the only color that really is going to dictate anything. And they are just,
these guys are the most mobile guys on the planet.
Yeah, I know.
They don't need to be anywhere
but
ever.
It still has to pass. I mean, but God.
And it might pass.
Right. I know. And it's like, and just the threat of it is enough to send people running.
Yeah. The tax hasn't been signed into law, but it hasn't slowed departures. Oracle founder Larry Ellison, who's now in Palm Beach hanging out with us, and former Google head Sergey Brin have already moved business operations to states like Florida and Nevada. It's just like, I don't know if they can do any more things to like just remove big businesses from their area, and Florida's just like, give me
please come on, Ed,
come on, everybody can do it. Let's
can I take your bag? No. Make yourself at home, please.
Zuck has not publicly stated any intention to move his residency from California to Florida.
Sure, he's not.
But the pattern is clear. Silicon Valley money is treating South Florida as a hedge against taxes, regulation, and policy risk. It's a thing, and so that's why, John, we're just picking up the the terrible decision making of California.
Well, I guess it's just one of those. I just have to imagine maybe they have just dug themselves into so much of a financial hole that they feel like that's the only way out, and you're just going to keep on digging. Yeah. Like, keep digging until you get to China. Don't stop.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know.
All right, so. Hey, what's going on with Rosewood Residences in Hillsboro Beach? A vertical construction?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
So Rosewood Residences, Hillsboro Beach, just topped out 92 ultra luxury units on a 12-acre ocean to intercoastal site. Really great location. We'll show you guys on the map. Starting at $5.95 million with completion set for early 2027. This is yet another location that's like Billionaire Row, Billionaire Mile, we call it in Hillsboro.
Oh, yeah.
Billionaire Mile. This is right adjacent to it, and man, $5.95 million starting price. It's a pretty big number, and they're selling these things because we were over there talking to them. So, who's the developer? Related Group, right? And Desert Development. So they've topped off vertical construction on Rosewood, which is the Mandarin has done that too, by the way. So they're they've hit the threshold or a nice point. This is a 10-story luxury condo rising on, as I mentioned, Millionaire's Mile. I call it Billionaire's Mile because these guys, they really got to be billionaires at this point to own on that land there, right, that's on the beach basically, and on the intercoastal. It's kind of like Manalapan, just much smaller and different, right?
Gotcha.
Or right over there. Yeah, the project sits on 12 acres, which is a pretty big site for having, for being in that beach area on small land there. From the Atlantic Ocean to the intercoastal waterway, delivering 92 residences designed by, I don't even know, Arquitectonica.
Yeah.
Yep.
Arquitectonica.
Arquitectonica. There you go. Good. Interiors by Studio Piet Boone, I guess. It's the first hospitality branded condo development in Hillsboro Beach. Hillsboro Beach is not that big, so congrats. Yeah. But Coastal Construction Group is the general contractor with full completion on track for early 2027. That makes sense from where they're at. Let's talk a little bit about the project here. Residences range from approximately 2,800 square feet to about 6,400 square feet with ocean and intercoastal views in the units, which is pretty cool. And again, starting at $5.95 million. Floor plans emphasize indoor-outdoor living with curving terraces, open kitchens, floor-to-ceiling windows, everything you expect from something super epic luxury, right? This is kind of the standard now. If you're building in this area, this is the standard for Related Group, who have built so much. You can almost say everything when it comes to condos on the ocean, from Pompano to Miami to West Palm Beach, right? And this is, I mean, we were just talking about Steve Ross earlier. I mean, they're just knocking off projects left and right, right? So
it's almost like, is it the same couple people that design all of these, or do they have like a small army of developers who do each one of these projects? I don't know enough about the business side of it
They partner with the general contractors, so they get general contractor bids, and they probably have ones that they like for certain
and they'll just
areas.
keep using.
So around the country, they'll do that, depending on who they're working with, and maybe they diversify a little bit. They don't want all their GCs to be one GC to be on all their projects. What if something happens, right? Yeah. So there's probably some of that involved too. And so this here states Related Group brings its branded residence track record. With Boca Raton residence is Miami, Waldorf Astoria residences in Pompano, as we reference here, residences at 6 Fisher Island. Desert Development, led by Gil Deser, is known for Porsche Design Tower, okay, big one. Residences by Armani / Casa, and the upcoming Bentley residences in Sunny Isles Beach. So these guys are heavy hitters. They're doing big projects all over, and this is moving along smoothly, right?
Yeah. See how that works.
And so Nick Perez is the president of Related Group. We keep talking about Steve Ross because he's the founder and the big guy. He also owns the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, right? So. But Nick Perez, president of Related Group's condominium, called Hillsboro Beach one of the rare special places and said this project is entering its final phase toward what he believes will be one-of-a-kind living experience. This is a really cool one. I mean, this is unique. It's in a unique location. If we jump on, Ben, if you want to share that map again, I'll just point out some comments on this. Again, it's on that Billionaire Mile. If you zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see like if you go a little south, right there, that's where all the houses are. Right where you're. Right. Yep. So, right. Yep. So that's where all the houses are that have both sides. Actually, you move a little north, right there, you'll see some houses. Yep. So, all of that. Look at that guy. He's got a tennis court on the other side on the intercoastal. Yeah, that's a tennis court on direct intercoastal. Yeah. Like this is no joke. So these guys got their 100+ foot yachts on one side, and then they have their massive waterfront residences or oceanfront residences on the other side. This is really cool. And so you're kind of connected to all that. You're not too far from downtown Boca Raton when you're there because you could just cruise right up A1A and you end up in Boca pretty quickly. You can move pretty quickly to Pompano Beach, which is redeveloping quite a bit, and then you're right adjacent to all this wealth there. And then obviously Deerfield Beach downtown's pretty cool. There's it's one of the few areas that have oceanfront restaurants, right, with a little pier and a dock and all that, which is pretty cool. So it's a good little area, and I think they're going to get some traction there, or they already have. Also, there's and this is interesting. So the way they're building this, if we want to pull it up on the map again, I'll show you this because we are working on a project right across from it, and we were talking about this. They have a marina there, which is different from most. If you zoom in really close to the intercoastal where the project is, they're basically building. Yeah, you see that where they're like the water is on the intercoastal to the left, Ben, right there. You can see that like little waterway that they've kind of created. This is going to be a protected marina where they'll have 14 vessel slips. So not only can you live in a condo, but you can also potentially get a slip here. Obviously, there's not a slip for everyone, but the people who want them can get them, and so you can have a boat and own and live in a condo, which is not. It's a little unique. It's not too common down here for new construction like this. Mm-hmm. Right, so I think that feature is also pretty interesting. And then they got all the cool stuff, right? The paddle, the pickleball, the tennis courts, the bocce courts, pro shop on site. So this place will be pretty sharp. The amenities are going to be great.
Okay. I mentioned it earlier in the program, not knowing we would touch on this towards the end, but Fort Lauderdale and their new city hall, I guess they're going back to the original plan for a whopping $200 million. For those who aren't familiar, Old City Hall was destroyed by flooding back in 2023. Then, after months of debating whether to buy an existing building or build from scratch, the commission is moving forward with a brand new $200 million setup. So that must be nice.
And for context, the way they've been operating in Fort Lauderdale,
they rented a building or something?
They've just moved departments all over, so they're just scattered. So they're just doing it right, and they're going to be scattered for a while longer, especially if they're building this.
Yeah.
So there's controversy though. There's debate, and the future is uncertain. Still, the controversy centers around whether Fort Lauderdale should buy Tower 101 for $86 million or move forward with building a brand new city hall expected to cost $200+ million. That'll be interesting to see. In July 2025, Tower 101 was offered to the city. On February 3rd, 2026, One East Broward was also offered for $122 million. Both were pitched as faster and cheaper alternatives to new construction. Commissioner Ben Sorensen. Ben Sorensen first raised the idea of buying Tower 101. Vice Mayor John Herbst supported analyzing both properties, saying the city has a responsibility to look at potential cost savings. Supporters argue the city is not legally locked into a deal with the developer and could save taxpayers tens of millions while avoiding years of design permitting.
Well, that's what I would say. I think you're better off just buying a place. I mean, not to mention with as much new construction that's going on right there in downtown Fort Lauderdale anyway, there's got to be a space that is more than adequate to house the incredible city government of Fort Lauderdale. I think.
Yeah, you would think, again, like this goes back to our conversation earlier. Should cities really be taking on development projects on their own.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd partner with somebody, but on the construction. But this would be a little bit more hands-on than some private-public partnerships that we've talked about in the past, probably. And so so to your point, it's like if you're running a city, I think you have to be very, very conscious of the money you spend. Very, very conscious, right? Almost
Or
more
should
than,
be. I mean,
almost more than if you're running a business like our business, right? You can kind of be like, okay, we want to splurge on this thing because it's just cool and it'll improve morale, whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the argument or something, right? And so let's do that thing. Whereas this, you can't please everyone, or your choices don't necessarily affect everyone that's contributing. So you really just need to be cost efficient and super conservative. So, buying something might not be a bad idea, and letting a developer do whatever they're going to do with that other project, and sell it or whatever. So,
okay.
yeah.
All right. And on that note, are we about ready to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay. On behalf of Larry Mastropieri, broker owner of the Mastropieri Group, I'm John Laws of Discover South Florida. Once again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you on the next one.